Hi, my name is Zena. I am trying to start a booktube. So if you're actually watching this, that means I actually decided to start the ball rolling and post on YouTube and start my channel. Today I am at my local library. I am hosting a silent book club just because I'm actually really bad at being in normal book clubs. I'm such a mood reader, so I have a hard time keeping up with the books that are chosen in book clubs. So the idea of a silent book club is you're meeting with a group of people and you're going to introduce yourselves and share what your favorite genres and authors are, what book you're currently reading, and together you're reading for about whatever time frame you choose. So my group, we choose to do it for an hour. We sit and we read together, but we're reading our own books for that entire hour, and then afterwards we just mingle for a while until we're ready to leave. So that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing today. I'm looking forward to this. I am currently reading One Dark Window. I know it's not very much of a summer read. It's very much gothic fantasy, and I was told this was best to wait until the fall, but I actually am trying to join a book club and actually keep up with it, like a formal book club. And this is the book we'll be talking about next week, so I'm starting to annotate it. I just started yesterday, so yeah, I'm gonna go in and have this book club, and I will see you in a little bit. Hello, I just got out of the silent book club. It went pretty well. There were more people who said they were going to be in attendance, and then they just didn't show up, but it was still fine. There were 4 of us total, and we all were reading different books. One lady was reading A Little Life, and she just started it. She showed us how far she got into the book, and it's a pretty thick book if you've seen it. She wasn't crying, but she was like, oh my gosh. I could tell that her heartstrings were getting tugged. And the other lady was reading this duology, Wings of Night. I don't remember the title to it. She's having a fun time. She really likes fantasy, and I like fantasy, so we talked about that for a bit. And the other lady was reading A Book Thief, and she said that she was kind of struggling to get into the book, but then the other lady who was reading A Little Life told her that it starts to pick up. It's gotta get a little bit further in, so that's what they were reading. And then I was reading, as I mentioned earlier, One Dark Window. So I think I got pretty far into this. I mean, that's how much I've read. I went into today's starting on page 98, and I'm now on page 150. So I read however many pages that is per minute. I read up until 150 in exactly an hour. So I think I did pretty good. This is a really fun, fast read, and I added a few more annotations, not a whole lot, but a few more. I'm going to be going home, and I hope to continue reading this. I want to finish this weekend. I really don't see myself not finishing it this weekend, so we will see. Hello. So I think where I left off, I was coming back from the library. So basically I came home and walked my dogs, did some chores. When I was taking my dogs on the walk, it started raining and we started getting drenched on, which was kind of funny because one of my dogs, Luna, when we were walking, she got her front paws and was going like this, kind of like wiping the rain out of her face, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're gonna get home soon. It was a good time. This is Roxy, who just sat down. I love that she sat this way so you can see her little booty, and she didn't turn herself around so you can see her sweet little face. You like such a side eye right now. I was trying to figure out if I wanted my channel to be about book videos that are spoilers or no spoilers, and this video specifically, given that I'm trying to make this my first video, I decided that this is going to be a spoiler-free video instead of having spoilers, just because I know a lot of the booktubers that I personally watch, their channels are mainly spoiler-free reading vlogs, and I really like those. They do really in-depth spoiler ones once in a while. That's what I also want to do. I got to page 168 on One Dark Window. I wanted to get further ahead, but I came home and my dogs were like super energetic, and I was like, okay, we gotta get some chores done. We have to get some play in, do some tug of war, throw the ball around, and then we had to go for a walk. After all of that, especially having 2 dogs, and one of them is half German Shepherd, so she is very, very energetic. So that took a little while, but I got a little bit further ahead, not too much further, but just a little bit. and I'm really enjoying this so far. The book is dark gothic fantasy. Initially was going to wait and read this during the fall time when it was fall weather and spooky vibes, but the state that I live in, we get monsoons. Honestly, it's like dark and gray outside, and it's kind of like the perfect ambiance for this book. I'm vibing with it. I also am trying to annotate and leave off little tabs. I didn't major in literature or anything of the sort, so my sticky tabs are not very in depth. One of them is more so like, oh my gosh, wow kind of moments, which meant I was reading and I just went like, you know, oh, that's Luna. I like how she shows her face. She's gonna start kissing me in a little bit if I let her watch. You know, oh, hi Luna. It's coming to seal the show. And the other tab I have is the red one, and that's because this is not a romantic necessarily from what I've been told. Romance is more of a subplot. I mean, it's in there. It's a tab so far. And another sticky tab is the main character, Elspeth, when she has magic. And one of my friends, she finished this book 2 days ago, and I was with her when I was trying to make my little key for my annotation tabs. And she told me, she recommended that some of my tabs, one of my keys is anytime Elspeth, the FMC, uses magic. So that's what the green one is for. Then I technically have a fourth one, which is supposed to be for when I'm getting like emotionally, like I feel it in my chest kind of scene, but that hasn't happened so far. I might make that into two different tabs, one being like a scene where I'm like really like mad and infuriated and just frustrated with what's happening, and the other one might be the more emotional, my chest is hurting. But I haven't had either of those happen so far. There's been some annoyance for sure with one of the characters, and like an eye rolls, like me like a side eye, but not to the point where I'm like, are you serious? Kind of like making me mad at that situation or at that character. So I haven't used either of those two yet, but who knows, maybe I will, maybe I won't, we will see. I'm really liking it, and my goal is to finish because I have book club next week and it will be my first one attending, and I really want to be able to make it. I have to finish this by then. So fingers crossed. I think I will. I'm almost halfway through. I just started this yesterday and I only read it for an hour yesterday. So I think I'll get through it. Hello, thank you for getting through the video up until this point. I eventually will get better at stopping myself when I'm reading to make a video about what my thoughts are on the book up until that point. I'm just need to get better at doing that. So thank you for getting to this point of the video. I'm really grateful that you watched it to this point. So I have been reading One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So it's this book. And it's a dark fantasy. I really enjoyed this book. It has in my opinion, it had a really, not in a bad way, but a simple magic system in the sense that I didn't have to reread the information that was being told to me as the reader. I was able to read it and be like, oh, okay, that's the magic system. Okay, cool. And it was a very fast-paced read. The chapters were also, like, they weren't long chapters. They were about medium and short. So I felt like after I was flipping through this entire book. It was so much fun. I also liked the magic system. This is not a spoiler, but the magic system is in this kingdom of Blunder. In this Kingdom of Blunder, they have these magic cards. There's 12 cards in a deck, and each card has a certain magic ability. So one card is the mating card, and if you use the mating card and you tap it 3 times, then it will do physical changes to you. And so, for example, maybe your hair is a little bit dry. If you use the mating card, it'll make your hair will get soft and smooth and get shiny. So that's an example to that card. But at the same time, as a great character for Once Upon a Time would say, all magic comes with a price. So if you use the mating card, then it might make you have physical changes on the outside, but on the inside, it'll change the person's personality, be a bit more cold, a little bit more mean, and they'll make comments that they might have not said before using the mating card that are pretty just rude, essentially, to other people around them. So that's just an example of how one of the cards is used, but all the cards have their own magic ability and their own version of a price to be paid when they're used. It's okay, Roxy. She hears people outside. So and then the main character, Elspeth, she has this voice in her head that she calls the Nightmare, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because I feel like if I explain anything more, it'll be a big spoiler. So that's that. But I also really like Elspeth's character because throughout the book, she knows what she needs to do. She has an end goal. She understands what decisions she makes, she realizes what the consequences will be. And I really like that about her. And especially so sometimes the female main character, when a male love interest comes in and they give the whole "you can trust me" right away, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll trust you." Elspeth was very much guarded, and she was like, "I'm going to protect myself." And that was kind of her whole thing, which I had respect for because I think it was great that she stood her ground and she knew what she wanted to do and how to go about certain things and didn't let people or other things tell her what to do. So I really liked that. I also think the book, in my opinion, it had a bit of found family. So I really enjoyed the found family trope. And then lastly, just a little bit, I'm trying to not spoil the book. I did make an annotation key. I initially had 4, but I ended up just keeping 3. One of them was oh my gosh, wow moments when I would go either mentally or actually go that in person. So I have that was a tab. And then my friend told me she read the book. You recommended, because she read the story and finished the book a day before me, and she recommended having a tab every time the main character Elspeth uses her magic. So I tabbed that. And then even though this was such a subplot in the book, I also tabbed romance. So that's my little key. I don't think it's going to focus, but those are the colors. And then just to show my little tabs. It's not a whole lot, it's a little bit, but I like it. One thing I wish I did do, this is not a spoiler, but I do wish I tabbed symbolism throughout the book because there was symbolism. So going into the second book, because this is a duology, I think I'm going to start to keep note of symbolism throughout the book. I would also say book 1 has great foreshadowing. So if you're going to annotate and do tabs, I would make one for foreshadowing. That way you can, just go back for fun and be like, oh, I see that this meant, and then we find out later. So I think that would be fun to do. There also, one of the characters does a lot of riddles, and I loved the riddles. They were so much fun. Sometimes they were foreshadowing, and I was like, I'm gonna make a mental note of that. So that was one thing I really liked about the book. I also really enjoyed how the author gave great visual descriptions of what the kingdom looked like and what type of geology was around, just the fight scenes and what comes out of fight scenes. Able to really I already picture a movie in my head when I'm reading a book anyways, but if you might struggle with that, this book, the way the author, the descriptive words that she uses, it really helped to really tone in on what to be picturing for the story. So I really, really loved that. The One Dark Window, it is a gothic fantasy. So I would say I don't recommend reading this during the spring or summer, just because if you're like me and you're a bit of a mood reader, the vibes will be off. but I think this is a great book to read maybe at the very end of summer when it's starting, you feel the crispiness of the air and it's starting to be fall. I think this is a wonderful book to read in the fall. I did read it technically in July, but where I currently live, we get what's called monsoon, so we get really heavy rain and thunder and lightning. During the past week of me reading this, it was outside, it was all dark clouds and gray skies and lightning and rain and thunder. So it was just a very great ambiance for this entire story. So I was able to truly enjoy it and not have to wait until September, October to read the book. This is also a book that I'm joining a book club, or I've now officially joined the book club. Here's Luna. I like how the camera's focusing on her, but not Roxy earlier. And anyway, so I started this book on Friday. We met for the book club yesterday on Thursday. And I was actually stressing out because over the weekend, I got halfway through the book within 2 days. And then when Monday came, I go to work and I walk my dogs, gym, and then adulting. So everything after. And then I have only from 8:30 p.m. until I go to sleep that I do for reading. Monday through Thursday, I was trying to get through the book, not because it's a bad book, by all means. It was so great. I was just struggling having time to sit down and just read without distractions happening around me. But so with that being said, I got off work and I came home and I was like, oh my gosh, I have less than an hour to go to the book club because it starts in an hour from me getting off work. And I had 30 pages left. So I came home and my dogs were trying to get my attention. I'm like, oh my gosh, please. I was trying to get through the book. And thankfully I finished it exactly 10 minutes before I was supposed to be at the book club. So I got there 5 minutes late technically, but it was okay. I wasn't the last one to show up. So nobody really noticed me being late. So that was pretty nice. And it was such a great time. All the ladies were all into fantasy and romance. One lady said that she's into sci-fi and thrillers, so I'm hoping that she'll give some recommendations and we'll eventually read not romance and fantasy, but maybe spread out on the genres. And we are going to pick and vote for they did tell us it will be a romance summer rom-com type of book for August, but we'll get to choose, we'll vote on which book we want. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just really hoping I can get that other book through my library because I'm really trying to save money and not buy so many books. I'm truly trying to get through my physical TBR, which is pretty much of a struggle, I think, as most will say. So that's everything. That's my review of the book. I hope I didn't spoil anything. I really tried not to. I tried leaving it pretty vague. And thank you so much for watching my first video. I hope to actually get this posted and not just say I'm going to, because I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So I'm really excited to actually get the ball rolling and get it posted at some point and be able to connect with other book readers and book lovers.
I just realized I never shared my book rating for One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So I just want to quickly share that. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars.
So thank you, and until next time.